What sounds like fiction but is actually a real historical event. A Chinese emperor once ran in circles around a pillar to escape an assassin. He survived. I've used similar tactics with my father. 10/10 would run around in circles again. Edit. No, he didn't have jumper cables. Some guy in Australia decided he wanted to hunt rabbits, but rabbits don't live in Australia, so then he released like 12 in his backyard, and now there's a ton of rabbits in Australia. The Glasgow Ice Cream Wars. 6 people died in a turf war over ice cream van routes. They were dealing heroin out of the vans. In 2007, a paraglider got trapped in the updraft of 2 joining thunderstorms and lifted to an altitude of 10 kilometers. She landed 3.5 hours later about 60 kilometers north of her starting position, having survived extreme cold, lightning and lack of oxygen. In the 1800s there were street vendors in Egypt who sold ancient Egyptian mummies. Just lined them up on a street corner and sold them like they were umbrellas on a rainy day. English tourists would buy them to display as oddities. A town in France nearly danced itself to death in 1518 because of a dancing plague. The longest piano piece of any kind is Vexations by Eric Satie. It consists of a 180-note composition which, on the composer's orders, must be repeated 840 times so that the whole performance is 18 hours 40 minutes. Its first reported public performance in September 1963, in the Pocket Theater, New York City, required a relay team of 10 pianists. The New York Times critic fell asleep at 4 a.m. and the audience dwindled to 6 masochists. At the conclusion, one sadomasochist shouted, "Encore!" Jack the Baboon, who was employed to change rail signals. After initial skepticism, the railway decided to officially employ Jack once his job competency was verified. The baboon was paid 20 cents a day, and a half bottle of beer each week. It is widely reported that in his 9 years of employment with the railroad, Jack never made a mistake. There were a few Japanese soldiers who refused to surrender after World War II and remained on duty in the rainforest for 30 years after the war ended. The Great Stink of London in 1858. One summer the heat dried up the River Thames, where all of the human waste went, and an unbearable smell pervaded throughout the entire city. All Parliament representatives were eventually coerced out of their homes outside of London to convene and solve the issue. Much to the citizens' glee, Parliament was held in their building on the bank of the River Thames, resulting in one of the fastest Parliament decisions ever made to reform the London sewer system. Check out the CIA's assassination attempts on Castro. Some highlights include planting a bomb in a large seashell, and then painting it bright colors and placing it on the ocean floor in hopes Castro would see it while swimming and pick it up. Exploding cigars. Poisoned cigars that were supposed to be given to Castro but were instead given to an unknown individual. Spraying Castro's broadcasting station with LSD. Poisoning Castro's shoes so that his beard would fall out. Poisoning a chocolate milkshake, only the pills froze together in the freezer and shattered before they could be placed in the shake. Contaminating a diving suit with a toxic fungus and giving it to Castro, only for the man set to deliver the suit to decide to give him a higher quality diving suit. A ballpoint pen with a very fine hypodermic needle. The town of Rothenburg ob der Tauber in Germany, one of the country's oldest and most preserved cities. Essentially during the 30 Years' War, the Catholic army wanted to destroy the town because they resisted the church. Count von Tilly, sounds like a Monty Python name, was going to destroy the town, but as a gesture of peace the town offered him a mass, 3.25 liters, of local wine. He declared that if anyone in the town could drink the mass of wine in one go, he would spare the town and move on. Then someone just walked up and did it. So the army left. Much later during World War II, when the U.S. was performing air raids, someone in the White House knew of this town and pleaded that we do not destroy it. So it has been saved from 2 wars, all because one guy chugged a bunch of wine. The entire Taiping Rebellion. a war started by a Chinese peasant who dreamed, and believed, he was Jesus' younger brother. Although poor, the first thing he did was have a giant demon-slaying sword forged. Took over a city. Asked the British why they wouldn't pay him tribute as the new head of their faith. Engaged in total war with the Qing. Applied pseudo-communist policies like abolishing private property. Separated women and men from ever interacting, and sent the women to the front lines. Over 20 million people died, with some estimates as high as 40 million. It was the fourth deadliest conflict in human history. It killed more people than World War I. Only World War II, transition of the Ming, and Qing conquest of the Ming were deadlier. During World War II, the Polish army conscripted a bear. "Oh man, you're selling this short." They didn't conscript Wojtek, they enlisted him when command specifically said they couldn't take him when they deployed. The bear was given rations, a bunk, even beer and cigarettes just like any other soldier, and he actually served in the field. The unit was responsible for distributing munitions like artillery shells, and Wojtek, and I am not joking here, would help them move crates. The bear would literally pick up 100-pound crates of shells by himself and stack them up where they needed to go. Wojtek was not a mascot enlisted for giggles, the bear was a soldier.